Hey, it's time now for a little NBA mock draft, and I look forward to this because I'm not going to be nice to you during this.
That's fine, and neither is anyone else. I am ready. You come at me, Internet. This is, by the way, I need to mention this. This is not my final mock draft. We will have more mock drafts leading up to the actual draft on June 21st. We will be here live for that as well.
So you reserve the right to change your mind.
Exactly. Thank you.
Let's take it now to then the number 1 overall pick. The Phoenix Suns have that selection here. Harris, I think in reality it comes down to 2 people, Luka Doncic and Deandre Ayton. I don't think anyone else is in consideration.
Absolutely. They are, without a question, the 2 options at the number 1 pick. It's going to be Ayton or Doncic, and I think it's going to come down to what does the Suns front office want. And I think, are they trying to, maybe match up someone with Devin Booker? Are they trying to find someone who can go down low to kind of get trained by Tyson Chandler? Neither of them, mind you, is a bad option. Neither of DeAndre Ayton or Luka Doncic is a bad option for this Phoenix Suns team. You can make a very strong argument for either player. I know a lot of Suns fans want Ayton, despite the fact that there aren't a lot of big men in the NBA right now who are making a legitimate impact in the playoffs. Outside of, Clint Capella, big men are big, but I don't know.
Let's get then to the pick here, Harris. Number 1 overall, you have the Phoenix Suns selecting Luka Doncic.
I do.
And we're 1 pick in, and you're already wrong.
You know what?
I love you. I think it's going to be Ayton. He's not working out for anybody else.
Of course he's not, because he's cocky, which is probably
which
what also
by the way.
got him killed in March Madness, and they lost to Buffalo in the first round. Look, the reason I have Doncic going to the Suns, I know people keep calling me crazy, and I've repeated this so many times. They hired his Slovenian national team coach. I get it. He was a good assistant coach for the Jazz. There are no such things as coincidences in this world, Tom. That is not a coincidence. I think they know that when it comes to Doncic and a lot of these international players, they aren't always confident when they come over to the NBA. And I think that they wanted to give Doncic a comfort level in the league, some sort of consistency that he knows already. Look, he's 18 years old, going on 19, and plays for Real Madrid. His stats are unprecedented in the EuroLeague for a kid of his age. He won the MVP. He won the Final Four MVP. He was amazing during Eurobasket for Slovenia. Like this kid isn't just some random EuroLeague slouch. This is one of the best players to ever come out of the European League. Ever, by a considerable margin. He is better coming out than Kristaps Porzingis was. He is better coming out statistically, than Dirk Nowitzki was coming out a couple years ago. Way back when, a couple decades ago, I should say. Luka Doncic is a legit EuroLeague prospect who is going to be a star in the NBA. My player comp for him is Manu. And I don't say that because, you compare all international players to each other, but Manu Ginobili showed a way to succeed in the NBA without a overarching element of athleticism and just crazy versatility. Manu Ginobili got the job done.
Up.
Yeah, a bigger one. He's 6'8". But Manu Ginobili was able to get it done in the NBA due to his craftiness, his offensive playmaking ability, his passing, and just his understanding of how to score. And I think we've seen a lot of players in the NBA over the past couple of years get looked over. Donovan Mitchell last year, he wasn't an amazing shooter, but the dude knows how to score, and Doncic does as well.
I think the big concern with me with Luka, even though I am pro Luka, by the way, I think he's going to be a great player, the athleticism probably isn't ideal, and that gives me a lot of concern about defense because he's definitely long and tall, but how's he going to hold up against, let's just say, a Steph Curry on defense? He's not going to hold up.
I think the defense is the biggest concern right now. I'm not worried about his overall athleticism. He's 19 years old, but at the same time, let's say he doesn't end up being an elite scorer and he does end up being someone like Ricky Rubio. Because, by the way, I haven't even mentioned this, Luka Doncic's best overall quality is his passing and court vision.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Like, this dude is Steve Nash-esque with his ability to pass the ball around the court. It is unbelievable what the passes that he sees all across the court. So I think Doncic at worst will end up being a great combo next to Devin Booker. He'll be a good combo as well next to either Marquise Chris or someone who I have them drafting in the middle of the first round. We'll get to him later. I like Doncic a lot. I think he's a good fit on this Suns team. That backcourt in a NBA right now where having an elite backcourt is really important, Devin Booker and Luka Doncic for the next decade is stupid good.
It's fun. They do still need a big, and I think big is a big, big need for the Suns.
Yep.
But we'll see what happens when we get to the actual draft and in future mock
They can
drafts
also
as well.
just give Clint Capella a ton of money.
It's fair. All right, let's get then to pick number two. It's the Sacramento Kings, and no Doncic, so where are the Kings looking to go, assuming he's off the board?
Well, even if Doncic was on the board, the Kings apparently want one of these big men, and I don't blame them. I understand why they don't want to go with
NBA teams
Doncic.
always pick the big.
And they also already have a really nice backcourt with De'Aaron Fox, Bogdanovich, and they have Buddy Hield. They don't need to spend another top 3 pick on a guard. They have their 3 guys. So what do? You take the best player on the board. And the number 2 overall, I have the Kings taking DeAndre Ayton. And I don't think that's a crazy pick. He's arguably the best player in this entire draft. I have him as number 2 overall on my big board, but he's my number 1 center. This dude has the potential to end up being Patrick Ewing. It is wild how good DeAndre Ayton is and what he can end up doing in the NBA. He's versatile on offense. He can shoot as well from the elbow. I think we could also see in a kind of an interesting usage of him. Maybe you try to use him as a Kevin Garnett kind of guy and teach him a 20-footer or an elbow jumper. So I like DeAndre Ayton a lot. I think he's going to be a really good player in the NBA, but I am worried as all hell about his defense. He doesn't play defense.
The defense is a big concern. I think that can be taught. I think that Ayton has all the traits to be a good defender. So you get him with the right coach, I think he'll be fine on that end. I like seeing 7-footers that shot, 34%. Now, from 3, granted it wasn't a lot of 3-point attempts, but I think Ayton has a little bit of stretchability there that gives you enough that if he gets to the outside, if he gets to the 3-point line, you have to at least monitor him. Yeah. You can't just totally ignore him. So he can help stretch the defense, I think, a little bit on that end. Maybe his stock, I heard a little bit, at least from some of the general perspective of, they didn't play all that great in the NBA.
No, he
in
looked
March
like
Madness.
he didn't. He looked like he wasn't trying. And another reason why I think he'll be a great fit on the Kings, we were talking about his defense. Look, I understand that the Kings already have Willie Cauley-Stein. There is no reason why you can't play the two together. They actually counter each other's weaknesses really, really well. Willie Cauley-Stein is terrible on offense. DeAndre Ayton is not a great defender. Fun fact, they both do those really well. DeAndre Ayton is an amazing offensive prospect, and Willie Cauley-Stein is a really, really good defensive center.
Although not quite.
He ended up being exactly what they thought he was going to be, a great defensive centerpiece. And I think that Ayton, in a lot of ways, also, I know he's a big guy. He's 7 foot 260. He can play the 4. Because like you said, he can stretch a little bit. He can shoot. So I think DeAndre Ayton next to Willie Cauley-Stein is nothing to worry about, and the Kings have a really, really good combo with De'Aaron Fox.
I feel pretty confident saying Ayton's going 1 or 2
Absolutely.
no matter what.
100%.
He's not getting beyond that. Again, he's not working out for anyone else. I still think he's going to go number 1 overall.
Agreed.
Taking it out to number 3 with the Atlanta Hawks, a team, Harris, that they just need talent at pretty much every position in my eyes.
Yes,
they are not in great shape right now.
They have John Collins, who they drafted last year. He had a really nice year in the second half once they started featuring him. Taurean Prince actually had an interesting year this year as well at the small forward position. But look, the Hawks just need everything. Dennis Schroeder, asked for a trade, so they need a point guard. They need a center. They need someone who can score from the 2 as well. They just need talent, and good thing for them, they have 3 first-round picks this year. They'll get plenty.
Let's get to the pick then at number 3 overall. Harris, you have the Hawks taking Jaren Jackson Jr. out of Michigan State. And Harris, I mean this with the utmost respect, I don't see it with Jaren Jackson.
You know what? I didn't either.
I'm not the biggest fan of his.
You know what? Agreed. Because going into the past couple days, I wasn't a huge fan of Jaren Jackson Jr. either. In fact, in one of our past shows, I said that he has the highest potential to be a bust in this draft of anyone.
I agree.
And to be frank, I still think that. But I watched the more Jaren Jackson. I started to really understand, where his skills are and where his flaws are. As an overall defender, I did not realize how versatile of a defender he is. He can guard threes. It was incredible the amount of players that he was able to defend in Michigan State this year. He was able to fully defend small forwards. He was able to fully defend 4s. And when you match him up against a center, they couldn't get anything on him. So his defensive versatility is so outstanding that it just bumped it up a lot for me. But I'm still worried about his offensive upside. He's long, he's effective, but I just don't know if he has the tools to ever have any sort of outside game. And I think that's where his cap is.
I get that he's young and that the athletic upside is there, and I understand that intrigue. And I think he could end up being a player that is going to be better in the NBA than he showed what he was at college. Because statistically, he wasn't great college. 11 points, just under 6 rebounds, did have 3 blocks per game. So the defense is definitely there. But if I'm number 3 overall in the draft, and this is why I'm just a little bit cautious on Jaren Jackson, I don't know if I like taking somebody who, yes, is great on defense, but you're banking on him becoming way better than he was in college than in the NBA. If you want to do that, pick 7, I think it makes more sense. But at 3, I just have a lot of concerns on that end.
I don't think that he's ever going to be, a DeMarcus Cousins, but I think in the modern day NBA, if you're going to try to build around a center, he has to be, a two-way guy. And I think that Jaren Jackson has that ability. He's never averaged since in high school or college, he's never averaged over 15 points per game. So I don't think he's magically going to end up doing that someday. But as of right now, where he projects to be, I think that he's going to be a really, really good piece for the Hawks to build around. He's going to be a very consistent NBA player for a long, long time. His length, his athleticism, his attitude towards basketball, he's going to be a really, really good fit next to John Collins there at the 5.
All right, Hawks there take Jaren Jackson at number 3 overall. Number 4, then, it is the Memphis Grizzlies.
You are lucky I'm being nice to you, Grizzlies.
Yeah, you don't need to go on your Tyreek Evans rant again.
I won't.
But Memphis, I feel like they're kind of in the midst of a rebuild here. Even though they've got Gasol and Conley, I don't think they're going to be able to truly compete in the way that you would like them to.
They are, and I will say this about the Grizzlies. If Doncic, Ayton, and Marvin Bagley are all off the board at 4, the Grizzlies are going to trade out of this pick. And I'm actually pretty confident in that. I don't think that they want to stay at this number 4 pick. I don't think they really like the class from about 4 to 8. I don't think they like the overall talent that's coming out because Mo Bamba is a weird fit on the Grizzlies. I'm not crazy about about Jaren Jackson on them either. But lucky for them in this mock draft, Bagley's available, and that's who they're taking it for overall. Grizzlies fans are going crazy because they finally get someone to replace Zach Randolph. They get someone to put next to Marcus Gasol and to also combo with Mike Conley. Look, Marvin Bagley, in terms of what he's going to do in the NBA, it's still very difficult to project because, look, he's a complete post player. He's an around-the-rim guy. He is an outstanding jump shooter. He's not the best defender either, but he is so unbelievably dominant around the rim that you can't just toss it away. Like, he wasn't even supposed to be in college this year. This was supposed to be his senior year of high school, and he averaged 21 and 11 as the best player on a Duke basketball team. That is not something you can ignore. He was great this year for Duke. He was the centerpiece of their entire team all year long. He comboed great with Wendell Carter Jr. as kind of a defense-offense 4-5. I think he's going to do the same thing with Marcus Gasol on the defensive end of the court. Bagley will end up being around the basket. Marcus Gasol will end up being able to move a little bit more towards the elbows and out towards the three-point line, which the Grizzlies have had him there for the past 2 years for whatever reason. I love Bagley to the Grizzlies.
I think that where Bagley might thrive the most down the road here is maybe not right away necessarily. I think he's going to be really good on the pick and roll and the pick and pop.
Absolutely.
I think he's going to be a nightmare to defend, especially when you're playing small ball and he ends up at the 5.
And I will say this, his defense right now isn't great, but I think out of all the big men coming out this year between Bagley, Bamba, Ayton, I think Bagley has the potential to maybe be the best defender out of the bunch. His lateral quickness and his ability to move inside of a phone booth is unbelievably impressive, not to mention his length and his ridiculous athleticism. I think if he puts it all into a nice package and the coaching is there as well, his defensive outlook could end up being all defense in the NBA. I'm talking maybe not Al Horford levels of defense, but this kid can end up being a really, really special defender if all of his tools come together. And he has a really, really good mentor in Marcus Gasol if he goes to the Grizzlies.
Get then to number 5 here. It is the Dallas Mavericks, a young core player in Dennis Smith Jr., not a whole lot of other young core guys. I don't consider Harrison Barnes young at this point in his NBA career.
They need a big man. I have been mocking the same player to the Dallas Mavericks for regardless of what pick they have, 3, 4, 5, it doesn't matter. The guy for the Mavericks is Mo Bamba. That's their guy. That's who they've wanted this whole time. Apparently, he's number 3 on their big board behind Ayton and Doncic. Bamba's their dude. That's who they're going to end up with. He's a perfect fit on this team. You put him next to Dirk. Dirk can help him create the jump shot that he's been working so hard to generate. He's going to be an outstanding shot blocker in the NBA. He's going to end up being what Nerlens Noel was always supposed to be, just didn't end up doing because of his overall work ethic. I understand that Mo Bamba...
I still love that comp, by the way.
Yeah,
that's exactly
it's
who
perfect.
I've seen him.
He can end up either being really, really good or really, really bad. And I think that there's a lot of bust potential with Bamba as well. But I also think...
Thin knees, too, concern me.
Yeah, maybe so.
He's a little thin.
He is a little thin. He is a massive string bean.
7'8", 3-footers should weigh more than like 226 pounds.
But his wingspan, and we saw that he actually ran one of the fastest full court sprint times of anyone in this entire draft and had a faster one than Russell Westbrook. Like, that's wild to me. This dude is such a ridiculous athlete. He's so long. He's like Giannis. Like, he can just get down the entire court in 5 steps. I think he's going to be a great fit in the modern day NBA. He's going to learn how to shoot. He's going to learn how to defend some bigger centers in the NBA. I think it's good that he's going to the Western Conference. You could not give him also to a better coach than Rick Carlisle. Carlisle helped turn Tyson Chandler into one of the best defensive big men in the NBA. No, hey, he didn't. But Nerlens did a lot of that to himself. I think that Bamba to the Mavs is a perfect player-to-team fit. I can't wait to see what Carlisle turns this 7-foot ball of clay into as an NBA player.
I am a big fan of Mo Bamba. I think the upside is definitely there. There's definitely some projection and development, and I kind of think 5 is where he's going to end up going. Even the Celtics love him, Harris.
You got a 20-year-old Dennis Smith Jr. and a 19-year-old Mo Bamba to build around. That's a great core.
All right, folks, to recap the first 5 picks of Harris' latest mock draft, Luka Doncic goes number 1 to the Suns, Deandre Ayton goes number 2 to the Kings, Jaren Jackson goes 3 to the Hawks, Marvin Bagley to the Grizzlies, and then Mo Bamba to the Mavs.
I have to say this. We have our top 5. This has kind of always been what the top 5 is. Now is when things get chaotic. Because just from 6 on, complete crapshoot.
All right, folks, we'll have all the NBA draft coverage that you need this year. Live coverage of the draft itself included. Subscribe to us on YouTube, chatsports.com/NBA TV. It'll take you right into the subscription page. Everything you want all in one spot. More mock drafts and rumors as we get closer to the draft on June 21st. Taking out to pick number 6, it is the Orlando Magic, and well, they also need a lot of stuff.
They just need talent is really what they need first and foremost. Like they need talent at the guard position. They need talent on the wing. They need talent down low if Aaron Gordon ends up leaving. Jonathan Isaac they drafted last year, but he had a really weird rookie year. I think it's time for them to take another really high upside player who does have a decent amount of bust potential, but not because of his overall skill set, but because of his injuries. But at number 6 overall, I got them taking Michael Porter Jr. I know all the Bulls fans at home are crying because, oh, we want Michael Porter Jr., blah, blah, blah. I think he's going to end up going in the top 6. I think Orlando is going to fall in love with kind of his safety and his overall versatility. He's going to be a fun player to watch in the NBA because his level of potential is maybe as high as anyone else in the draft.
If there's one of these guys that we're discussing earlier that I think could go on a bit of a surprise draft night slide, I think it's going to be Michael Porter.
I can agree with that.
And I think a big factor is the back injury. He had a spinal disc that kept him out for almost all of his first year at Missouri, his only year at Missouri. And I think in general, Harris, my big concern here, could he just end up being Andrew Wiggins? Could he only be an inefficient scorer?
I think that at worst, he ends up being someone like Otto Porter, who's a good defender on the wing and can hit threes, and that's kind of who he is in the NBA. But to be totally honest, when it comes to Michael Porter Jr., I think this dude has the potential to be one of the best offensive players in this entire draft.
That's what it was before the season started.
What I mentioned with Luka Doncic is about how we overlook a lot of guys in the NBA draft because they don't know, because they don't really have like an iconic skill set, but they just know how to score. That's what he has. His basketball IQ and his understanding of the different moves and versatility that he can kind of bring to the table is really fantastic. I love his offensive versatility. The dude knows how to put the ball in the bucket, and that's important.
Let's get then to number 7, the Chicago Bulls, and they've got some nice young core pieces. I'm a big fan of Lauri Markkanen, the young forward there.
I am too. But do you know what they need? And they keep getting mad at me. They need a big man that plays defense. Because fun fact, Lauri Markkanen and apparently the great god at basketball, Bobby Portis, they are terrible at defense. Both of them had defensive ratings of 110 last year. That is very bad. So what's the easiest way to shore that up? How about getting the best defensive big man in the draft coming out this year? That is Wendell Carter Jr. Wendell Carter Jr., number 7 of the Bulls, is just a great overall pick for what they're looking to do in terms of comboing with Lauri Markkanen down low. I think his ability and his upside to be someone like an Al Horford as an all-defensive kind of player is just, it's too good to miss. And I think with Lauri Markkanen being such an offensive playmaker and him extending out a little bit more towards the three-point line as a stretch 4, Wendell Carter is a perfect fit next to Lauri for years to come.
I think that Carter brings you that defense, and there is some offensive upside as well. And I'm actually still a bit of a fan of Bobby Portis, but I think that I don't know if you want him as a true star. I think you would prefer to have him be your top big man off the bench, let him play that role. Markkanen and Carter, we know how good Lauri can shoot. We know he's a great offensive player, but I agree with you. I do think they need more defensive help on the interior, and Carter does bring you that. I still think that a Bridges also makes a lot of sense here.
It does.
Be it Miles or Mikal.
When it comes to the Bulls this season, I think that getting another big man is really, really important. Just because, look, Robin Lopez is not going to be there forever. And this entire team doesn't play defense. They're one of the worst defensive teams in all of basketball. And the easiest way to shore that up is just to get a rim protector and a guy who can defend multiple positions, 3s, 4s, and 5s. He's versatile, he's fast, he's quick. I like Wendell Carter Jr. a lot. If he does end up going to the Bulls, I could see him even going higher than this if a team falls in love with him.
I do want to see everyone's thoughts here. Who will have the better career among the big men? Wendell Carter, Mo Bamba, Marvin Bagley, or Jaren Jackson? I'm going to lean toward Marvin Bagley. Maybe he doesn't have quite the highest upside as maybe even a Bamba or a Jackson does, but I feel the most confident about Bagley.
I think in terms of having a better career, I think Mo Bamba will end up having the best career. I think he has the highest potential of being an overall two-way player. I think his offense will come around, and he's just going to be such a good defender in the league. I can't wait to see him with Carlisle if he goes to the Mavs.
All right, number 8 overall, the Cleveland Cavaliers. This pick coming in from the Brooklyn Nets as part of that Isaiah Thomas trade. The big question mark around the Cavs, Harris, is what's going to happen to LeBron James.
Team needs.
Yeah, LeBron James is your team need. But we'll get to the pick here at number 8 overall. The Cleveland Cavaliers take Mikal Bridges out of Villanova. Harris, I'll tell you right now, if Trae Young's there, I think he's the pick.
I'm
sticking with that one.
I couldn't resist putting Trae Young where he is. We'll get to Trae Young in a little bit, but with Mikal Bridges to the Cavs, it just gives them obviously just an easy replacement for LeBron James. Not someone who I think is the highest potential in this draft, but he might be the most NBA-ready player in this class this year. He's already a great 3-and-D player. He's a good shooter. He can defend multiple positions. He's probably the safest pick in the draft so far. I think if you end up with Mikal Bridges, you slot him into the 3. Mind you, and we said this last night on the preview show, the Cavs are going into the draft completely blind in terms of what happens with LeBron James. Why not just take his eventual replacement anyway? And if LeBron ends up staying, great. You have a great 3-and-D guy off the bench, which they desperately need.
This is your LeBron leaves lineup.
Exactly. And I think Trae Young would be a great pick as well. But if you're the Cavs, you have guards on this team. They may not be great in terms of George Hill and Jordan Clarkson, but you have some. They do not have a small forward on this team if LeBron leaves. Jeff Green doesn't count.
They had nothing there. So from a need perspective, especially if Bron is gone, Bridges makes a lot of sense.
Exactly.
Either one, Mikal or Miles, who of course we'll get to later on.
Yep.
All right, number 9 then, the New York Knicks. And you're building around Kristaps. I know that you're a big fan of Frank Ntilikina.
I am.
But yet, despite that, Harris, at number 9 overall, you have the Knicks taking another point guard in Trae Young.
I couldn't resist. I'm sorry. I know I couldn't resist. I could not resist putting Trae Young in Madison Square Garden, just especially in this mock draft. I think he'll end up going higher, but just imagine Trae Young in the Knicks.
I think you're flipping Miles and Trae, or Mikal and Trae.
Imagine Trae Young in the New York Knicks lighting up Madison Square Garden with all those threes. His ability to drop points in quick succession is unlike anyone else in this entire class. He's not Steph Curry 2.0. There will never be another Steph Curry, but he's probably the closest thing to come out of college to Steph Curry in a lot time. His ability to score.
I thought that was Jimmer.
Don't even bring up that name.
That's my fear with Trae Young, by the way.
He is thick now. That dude is huge in China. But with Trae Young, I think him on the Knicks, you put him next to a defensive-minded guard in Frankie Smokes. You have Tim Hardaway there playing the 3. He can also man the 2, but he's really their primary wing guy right now. You have Kristaps at the 4 and Cantor at the 5, but Trae Young is such a good fit there at the 1.
All right, Philadelphia 76ers there at number 10 overall. This pick coming by way of the Los Angeles Lakers. So a lot of different options here for the Sixers, but I think the one that makes a lot of sense is what you have, Harris. At number 10 overall, the Sixers take Miles Bridges out of Michigan State, who I think is a little bit undervalued overall around the draft community, because I think he's going to be a reliable player for you.
I think he gets too much hate.
I agree.
He falls into the problem that he doesn't have one specific skill that pushes him over the edge in terms of being just an overall.
He's a do-it-all guy.
Exactly, and I think that's still valuable in the NBA, especially on a team that doesn't really have a lot of them in terms of do-it-all guys. They have Ben Simmons. can't really shoot. They have Robert Covington, who's a good 3-and-D guy, but overall his offensive playmaking ability is kind of kept to a minimum. Saric, I'm never been crazy about Dario Saric, and Embiid has his own issues in terms of outside shooting. Mikal Bridges can do everything. He can pass, he can score, he can rebound. He's a good glue guy. I think would be great for that locker room as well. He fits the personalities of the 76ers well, too. So whichever Bridges is on the board, they'll end up taking, whether it's Miles or Mikal. I have them taking Miles. Great core.
All right, folks, to recap the picks here so far, Doncic goes number 1 to the Suns, Ayton to the Kings, Jaren Jackson to the Atlanta Hawks, Bagley, and then Mo Bamba to round out your top 5. And then our last 5 picks, Michael Porter Jr., Wendell Carter to the Bulls, Mikal Bridges to the Cavs, Trae Young to the Knicks, and then Miles Bridges to the 76ers. And if it's your first time watching us here on Facebook Live, like the page. You'll be notified each time we go live with NBA Weekly and for our live draft coverage coming up on June 21st.
Stay tuned on that page. We're going to have so much fun in the NBA this summer. This is going to be one of the best NBA summers that we've had in a long time. Remember, we'll also be here live on June 21st for the NBA draft.
All right, Charlotte Hornets, they are picking number 11 overall. A big question mark, I think, is around the future of Kemba Walker. Harris, you've got the Hornets targeting a guard here. Maybe not the one some expect. It's Lonnie Walker out of Miami, Florida. I think this is a player, Harris, that is a prime example of someone who fits better at the NBA than he did at the college area. And I think I like doing that at the latter half of the draft lottery, not the top half with, for example, a Jaren Jackson.
I think we're going to see Lonnie Walker in the NBA turn into just a versatile scoring weapon from the guard position. He can play either the 1 or the 2. He likes having the ball in his hands. He played a lot of point alongside Bruce Brown there for Miami this year. He has a lot of bust potential as well. I don't think he has
There's
overall
scoring upside here, though.
Exactly, a lot of upside on this pick. If they do end up trading Kemba Walker, which I think they'll end up doing this offseason, that allows Lonnie Walker to slot in, be the starting point guard, and really develop his offensive skills. He'd be a really safe pick for the Hornets. I gave them Walker over Collin Sexton. I just think he's a better fit with what they have. They need a shooter from the point guard position. I think Lonnie Walker, as a shooter, has a better future than Collin Sexton does.
Let's get then to number 12 here. The Clippers, they have back-to-back first-round picks. This one coming by way of the Blake Griffin Pistons trade. At number 12, the guy you just mentioned, Harris, that is Collin Sexton out of Alabama, a kid that I like. I thought he was pretty good for Alabama. I think he's got some upside here.
This dude alongside Patrick Beverley is going to be just the nastiest guard combo in basketball. This dude is a fierce competitor. He's such an intense basketball player. No, you got to watch this guy play in terms of the energy he brings onto the court every single time he's there. He is a lean, mean defensive machine. He can score off the dribble. He's great around the basket. He's a pick-and-roll playmaker. I think that Collin Sexton is going to be a great overall point guard in the NBA. You put him with Doc Rivers, please. That is an outstanding young guard for Doc Rivers to mold, and it also pushes Austin Rivers to the bench, which thank God, because the only person that thinks Austin Rivers is any good anymore is Austin Rivers. Get him to the bench, start Collin Sexton.
All right, so Clippers there, if they get their guard at number 12, they have back-to-back picks here at number 13. At number 13, Harris, you've got them taking Robert Williams out of Texas A&M. A guy that strikes me as kind of a high-energy big man.
Yeah, it's a safe pick for them at 13. This has a lot to do with what happens with DeAndre Jordan this summer. I think DeAndre Jordan's going to decline his player option and leave, and boom, they have an instant replacement for him. Robert Williams will fill in the role nicely of the big man down low who can slam down some lobs and play good defense. That's exactly what he did at Texas A&M, and that's exactly what he'll do in the NBA. My player comp for him is Larry Sanders. I don't think he's the offensive upside of Larry Sanders, but Robert Williams will be a great replacement for DeAndre Jordan, and they also went to the same school. I find that ironic.
All right, Denver Nuggets, they have the 14th pick unless they trade it as part of a Kenneth Faried package there. Harris, at number 14, you have Denver taking Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a kid I like a lot out of Kentucky. He has drawn incredible reviews from Coach John Calipari about his work ethic. That's a very positive sign for him going forward.
Yeah, and for the Nuggets, they need someone to back up Jamal Murray. Their biggest problem was their lack of a good point guard on their second unit, and they bring in SGA, and boom, they instantly solve that. His offensive playmaking, his defensive versatility, he's long, he's athletic, he can play either the 1 or the 2. He's the perfect fit for them. He can, kind of be the young guard core with Gary Harris along with Jamal Murray. Maybe they bring Will Barton back as kind of the swingman 2 guard that he's been playing the past couple years. So SGA will be a fantastic fit on this Nuggets team. He's exactly what they were missing this year. They just didn't have any athleticism from the guard position coming off the bench. SGA will give them that.
All right, number 15 then are the Washington Wizards. They got John Wall, Bradley Beal, Otto Porter. You've given them some more wing depth, though, here at number 15 overall. You've got Kevin Knox out of Kentucky, so back-to-back UK players. I think there's some real upside here with Knox, even though he's not a finished product yet. Not that any of these guys are, but still.
What do the Wizards need? The Wizards need versatile, tall players who can score. Literally Kevin Knox's entire player bio. The dude's 6'9", his wingspan is 7 feet. He is so young, 19 years old, still a lot of room for him to grow. I think he's the perfect modern-day stretch 4. He can shoot from anywhere on the court. He's a good defender as well. I still needs to improve in a lot of areas. Remember, this guy is very, very raw, but I think you slot him next to Otto Porter and also have Kelly Oubre on the team as well. Kevin Knox is going to fill a lot of holes that the Wizards had on their team this year.
This is their scoring option out here.
Yes, exactly.
You go a little bit smaller.
They've been complaining for years about not having anyone at the 3 or the 4 or the 5 who can really be a versatile offensive playmaker. Kevin Knox is exactly that. There isn't someone who, I think with the Deandre Ayton, they kind of needed like a 4 or 5. They've been complaining about not having that guy, but I think Kevin Knox will do a good enough job at the 4.
All right, so there are your first 5 picks there. Luka goes number 1. You got both Bridges going off the board between 6 and 10. Mikal goes to the Cavs, Miles to the 76ers, and then those were your last 5 picks as well, capped off by Kevin Knox. And if you guys like the NBA, you're going to love our brand new NBA YouTube channel, chatsports.com/NBA-TV. Go to that page. It'll take you right to the subscribe page. Everything you want, mock draft, finals highlights, free agency coverage. It's the best stuff you're going to find on YouTube. So subscribe today at chatsports.com/NBA-TV. We go back outside the top half of the draft now, at least in the first round. The Phoenix Suns are here at number 16. This pick coming by way of the Miami Heat. And at number 16, you've got the Suns taking Troy Brown, maybe an under-the-radar guy out of Oregon. He's still very young, going to be 18 on draft night, a good athlete. This is a projection-type pick.
This is, and I think I gave them Troy Brown basically because, look, if you draft Luka Doncic and you also have Devin Booker, you don't have a lot of defense in that backcourt. Troy Brown brings you that defense. He can guard anyone from the 1 to the 2 to the 3. He's going to be a good fit next to Josh Jackson. They can throw all of their defensive versatility and length all over the court. I think this lineup with Doncic, Booker, Brown, and Jackson, A, lot of youth, B, lot of athleticism, and C, versatility all over the place. A lot of those guys can play multiple different positions and do multiple different, fill multiple different roles. Troy Brown is a really good fit in what I think Kokoskov, is going to want to do with all these young players.
Get then to number 17 overall. It is the Milwaukee Bucks, and they could very much be a team on the rise. At number 17, Harris, you've got the Bucks taking Zaire Smith out of Texas Tech.
They just need more explosiveness on this team. Like, I like Chris Middleton as a scorer. He did a good job against the Celtics in the playoffs. I obviously love Giannis, but the biggest problem for the Bucks is that they just didn't have enough length, or not enough length, they always have enough length. They didn't have enough explosiveness and offensive power on their team. I think Zaire Smith is going to end up bringing that to him. And if he doesn't, he's going to be one of the best defensive players on the entire team. I think that we saw him with Texas Tech. He was the reason they were so good this year. He was unreal for them. I think you put him on the Bucks, you give him to Budenholzer. That's a good 2 there.
One quick comp for him. I like them to Norman Powell.
Okay.
The Raptors. So.
Good call.
Spurs then at number 18 overall here. Hopefully Kawhi has a long-term piece for them. At number 18 overall, you have the Spurs taking Elie Kobo, the European man out from France.
They need a pure point guard, and I'm not just giving them the point guard from France because Tony Parker is on his way out, but I'm giving them the point guard from France because he's a great fit with what Greg Popovich likes out of his point guards. He put up good numbers. He's a good passer, good court vision. He's a smart defender as well. I think he's going to score really well in the NBA too. He fits great next to Dejounte Murray in terms of his defense and playmaking. So
Spurs love their overseas players as well.
They do.
Great track mark overall.
I think that Okobo is going to be a really nice player with Greg Popovich, but I also wonder if he's going to last this long to 18. I think another team might fall in love with him. Maybe he goes in the mid to early teens.
All right, let's get then to number 19. We are back with the Atlanta Hawks. This pick coming by way of the Minnesota Timberwolves At number 19, you have the Hawks taking Anthony Simmons, who was supposed to go to Louisville, but, that was a weird thing. So it gives them another potential combo guard here.
I gave them Anthony just. They can afford to take risks on an upside scorer like Simons.
I think they have to.
They do, and I think if you put him at the 2, they don't really have any guard right now that's worth anything. I think you put in Simons there, you just allow him to score a lot off the dribble, keep the ball in his hands.
Still a bad team, by the way.
It is a bad team,
but
I think that Simons would be a good fit with just kind of going forward. They just need talent on this team.
All right, the Minnesota Timberwolves there. They are at number 20. This pick coming by way of the Oklahoma City Thunder. And at number 20, bear with me on this name here, Harris, Zenjan Amusa, coming over from the overseas areas.
I like Musa.
He plays for Savedia from Bosnia-Herzegovina. This is a whole lot of pronunciations to handle here.
Do not be surprised if this guy goes higher than 20 on draft night. But what are you getting in Musa? Well, you're getting a massive, massive human being who can play the 3 or the 4, who can score from just about anywhere on the court. This guy's highlight reel is just ridiculous. His shooting ability is off the charts. He's fearless. He gets to the bucket really well. I think that he'll be really, really good in Tom Thibodeau's offensive systems, and he makes up for a lot of what Andrew Wiggins doesn't bring you.
I think they need another better stretch 4 option than Taj Gibson, who I like, but
Please
is not
put Taj on the bench. He's so old.
All right, Utah Jazz, right, number 21. They had a nice pick last year. They ended up doing okay with that selection.
Just okay.
Mitchell was pretty good. All right, at number 21, Kevin Huerter out of Maryland here, a big-time combine winner for the Jazz.
All of the shooting for the Utah Jazz. All they need now is just more and more shooting to surround Donovan Mitchell and surround Rudy Gobert. Kevin Huerter is exactly what they need. He could also literally be called Joe Ingles 2.0. They're very similar in size. They have very similar skill sets. I think Kevin Huerter is the perfect Utah Jazz player. Quinn Snyder is going to do so many different pick-and-pop options with Huerter. It's going to be fun to watch him in that offense. He's also great for next to Mitchell. The amount of assists that Mitchell's going to get from Huerter is just insane.
Get then to number 22. We are back here with the Chicago Bulls. This one by way of the New Orleans Pelicans. You've got them taking Chandler Hutchinson. There's been some buzz. He has a promise in the first round. I think that makes a lot of sense if that's the case. What do you make of Hutchinson and his fit with Chicago?
There you go, Chicago. I gave you your long shooting guard 3 combo player. He can play at either the 2 or the 3. I think he projects more to be a 3 in the NBA than a 2. He's 6'9". He shoots like all hell. He's a great, smart player.
I like this lineup a lot.
Do you know what else I like with Chandler Hutchinson? He's not just some random young guy. This is a dude with legitimate college experience coming out of Boise State, and that matters. We saw someone like Kyle Kuzma and Josh Hart come out last year with that college experience. It's going to bring a lot of good things to Fred Hoiberg and the Chicago Bulls.
All right, the Indiana Pacers now at number 23, one of the biggest surprises, I think, in all of the NBA this year. They took TJ Leaf last year. This year, Harris, you got them taking Keita Bates-Diop out of Ohio State.
He's exactly what they need. They need someone who can defend multiple positions and can also play on the wing and shoot a little bit from 3. That's exactly what Keita Bates-Diop can do. You can argue that he can defend 4 positions on the court. He defended 5 positions at Ohio State. Now, I don't think he's going to be able to defend centers in the NBA, but I called him a poor man's Draymond Green for a reason. He can defend any guard that you throw on him.
He can very poor man's there.
Almost any forward as well. He can play the 3 or the 4. He's 6'9", 224. I think he's going to be a fun player to watch in the NBA. I'm worried about his scoring, but he'll be able to defend no matter what.
The Blazers are at number 24 overall. You've got them taking Kyrie Thompson out of Creighton. He is going to turn 22. He's kind of one of those late bloomer guys, but 6'3" with a 6'10" wingspan.
A lot of defense. I think that's what they need. He can play the 2 or the 3. He's going to bring a versatile, just long playmaker to that offense. They haven't really had an athlete at the 3 in Portland for a very long time, like what Kyrie Thomas is going to be able to bring them. And also, his biggest weakness is his ball handling. He doesn't need to handle the ball. He's got Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum on his team, so I think Kyrie Thomas on the Blazers is a good fit.
All right, here now is the Los Angeles Lakers first-round selection, number 25 overall by way of the Cavs. You've got them going with a little bit more of a veteran college guy, which they like to do. It is Aaron Holiday out of UCLA.
He fits everything that they need. They want experienced college players. He's a junior. They want someone at the guard position. He's a point guard who can also play shooting guard, and they need someone who can score off the bench where they don't have to pay Isaiah Thomas crazy money, and they can put someone next to Lonzo Ball who can play the 2 when they want to keep that rotation going. Aaron Holiday is going to be a really fun scorer in the NBA. I don't think he's going to be able to do anything as an overall point guard, but his scoring ability, just like his brother Drew, will be really, really good to see.
All right, Sixers up here at number 26. Again, earlier in our mock draft, they took Mikal Bridges. You go back with a wing option and
More
a good
wings.
defensive one as well in Jacob Evans out of UC. I noticed a pattern here, Harris. You like those guys that can actually play defense.
I do. I like guys who can play on both sides of the ball. And I think for the 76ers, that's what they need. They already have Robert Covington. Now you throw in Mikal Bridges. Then you get Jacob Evans. All of a sudden, you have 3 really versatile players who can all play on the wing. They can all shoot threes. Exactly what you want to surround Ben Simmons with. And I think that's what you have to. If you're a 76ers fan, you don't want more big men. You don't want another Markelle Fultz. You want guys who can play on the wing. Because guess what? You're going to be going against the Celtics for a long time. They have wings to spare. You need guys who can cover Gordon Hayward, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum. Evans will be able to do that on the NBA level.
Number 27 overall, the Boston Celtics. And you've got them taking the kid out of Georgia Tech, Josh Okogie. What does he bring to Boston? Assuming they don't trade this pick or even take a guy to stack for a while.
Scoring from the 2-guard position, which they do not have. Marcus Smart is a great defender from the point guard or shooting guard position, wherever he wants to play. But Okogie is going to bring them scoring off the bench from the guard spot, which they desperately need. That's the biggest hole that the Celtics team has right now. They have Rozier and Irving, but after that, they have no one in their entire guard rotation who can score. Okogie can do that. It'll be a great fit next to Kyrie and Marcus Smart.
All right, number 28 then, it is the Golden State Warriors. And Harris, this is not okay. I refuse to allow this pick to happen. It's not fair. You've got him taking Dante DiVincenzo. This is not fair.
Many threes.
No, this is not okay. And I bet you all the money I own, he goes way before this pick.
He will.
He will not last this far.
Again,
there's no way.
I will have more mock drafts, and I'm going to consistently put him higher and higher.
Not fair lineup.
I did not have him in my last mock draft. I had him put him in the first round. This time, I have him going to the Warriors. Look at all the threes. Curry, Klay Thompson, DiVincenzo, and Durant. So much shooting.
Not fair.
He's going to be a great scorer in the NBA. Watch out for the Lakers, though, taking DiVincenzo at 25.
I don't even know if he's going to last that long. I think he'll go a lot earlier than people are thinking. Brooklyn Nets here at number 29 overall by way of the Raptors. They took Jared Allen last year. Now they get a player to pair with him, Mo Wagner out of Michigan. I like the upside pick here.
They need a stretch 4, and why not just take the best available stretch 4? And I think we also saw with Mo Wagner, he has a lot of upside. He's not just some player coming out of Michigan that's just going to plateau. I think he has a lot of upside. I think that he still has room to grow. He's better than Kelly Olynyk. He's going to end up having a better career, and he's going to be a better player than Channing Frye as well. I like Mo Wagner. I think him next to Jared Allen, perfect combo.
One pick left, then it is back with the Atlanta Hawks. This pick, of course, by way of the Houston Rockets. And you got them taking one more player. It is Melvin Frazier out of Tulane.
Consistency, defense, and a little bit of scoring as well. Just get more talent onto this Hawks team. Melvin Frazier is maybe the greatest player to have ever come out of Tulane. He would end up being the first-round pick in the history of the school. And also, he will let you not rely so much on Taurean Prince as your entire starting 3.
Still not a great lineup.
It isn't.
This is still actually pretty bad.
You have 2 nice players to build around in this draft from Jaren Jackson Jr. and Anthony Simons, and maybe Melvin Frazier turns into something nice as well.
All right, we'll whip you through here the recap. Luka, Ayton, Jackson, Bagley, and Bamba are your top 5 picks. Porter, Carter, Bridges, Young, and then Bridges again, Mikal, then Miles. And then 11 through 15, the LA Clippers get 2 players, Sexton and Williams. Kevin Knox goes to the Wizards. And then you get into the real craziness where I think there's going to be a lot of changes overall. Troy Brown, Zaire Smith. You got Chandler Hudson going to the Bulls as well. Mo Wagner, I like a lot to the next. I bet you money DiVincenzo does not last that long. And folks, subscribe to our YouTube channel, NBA only now, chatsports.com/NBA TV. If you missed anything, we'll play it again, and we'll see you next time.